Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the Accelerated Transfer Academy program today here for your CLC Connection for Fine Arts. My name is Adriel Ayala, and I serve as your peer mentor here for ATA, and I will serve as your moderator for today. We will be diving into a great conversation with our honored guest here, whom I will introduce momentarily, about their career, education, and transition into the workforce. Before we get started, I wanted to cover a couple of housekeeping items here. This is an opportunity for you to engage and ask our guests many questions. To do so, please utilize the chat box here for those of us joining us online for questions and commentary. For those joining us in person, simply raise your hand and we'll get to you. We will ask your questions out loud and answer them live. Additionally, this event is being recorded and made available to you for a later time to watch and to share with your peers. So without further ado, let's get started. Right. Today's guest is Cynthia Garcia. Cynthia Garcia, MA Arts Leadership, is the founder and executive artistic director for Exalted Arts, a professional faith-based theater production company. Cynthia's passion for the arts and biblically inspired content led to the formation of this nonprofit organization in 2015. A graduate of the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, NYC, Cynthia has performed across the US as an equity touring actor, embodied characters for New York-based theater productions, graced the local stage at the Ensemble Theater, where she is a two-time winner of its Georgie Award, and produced annual Christmas shows for Exalted Arts Theater Company. Cynthia's commitment to expressing biblical truth through creative content that inspires and transforms has led to her pursuit of a post-bachelorette degree in playwriting and dramaturgy at University of Houston, where she is being mentored for a Pulitzer Prize for drama finalist Lisa D'Amour. Cynthia's quest to infuse art with faith is her driving passion, and she won't stop until all the world knows his name. Cynthia, welcome.
Thank you. What a beautiful introduction, and thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So we'll start off with a couple of icebreaker questions.
Sure.
Yes. So what is your favorite word?
My favorite word is redeemed.
Redeemed. Ooh.
Redeemed. Being bought back. I love that.
And can you explain more? Can you tell me the details?
Redemption is about getting what belongs to you back. So whether you're redeeming coupons, whether you're redeeming some sort of item that has some sort of special prize or amount of money attached to it, you can redeem a certain percentage of it, or you can redeem the 100%. But what I really like about the word redeem is I am redeemed.
There you go, right? No, get what you can.
I am redeemed.
Get what you can.
So absolutely. I love that word redeem.
Oh, awesome. I like that. Redeem. Ooh. If you could have any other profession other than the one that you are in right now, what would it be for and why?
You know, I when I think about other professions, I don't think there's anything else I would love to do as much as what I'm doing in fine arts. Now, I was thinking, would I like to be a singer? Perhaps, but still that's in fine arts.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Everything. Performing and visual arts. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I would say maybe a worship leader, because they sing and they lead people into worship, and there's such freedom there. I think I would love to do that. Now, I don't know if they get paid or anything like that, but I would do it voluntarily.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the thing about fine arts for sure. I mean, it's a passion. It's definitely a passion thing for sure.
Yes.
And lastly, if you could have breakfast with anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be with and why?
I just admire Denzel Washington.
Okay.
I love his journey of how he started in a boys' home, I guess you could say. Not a boys' home, but that's where he was mentored, because his parents divorced at an early age, and his mother got him acquainted with the boys, I think it's Boys Club of America.
Okay.
And then his passion for creativity started to sort of grow. And I also like the fact he started out in theater. I love the trajectory of his career.
Okay.
He started out in theater, and then he made his segue into film. He did television, and then he did film, and we never saw him in television again. But besides that, he is a man who is, I can see, exudes such integrity. He understands who he is as not only an artist, but as a productive human in the world. He loves his wife, and he is seemingly a great father to his children, just a great man all around. I really love what he stands for, and I enjoy his art.
It's inspiring,
Thank
inspiring for sure. Now we get to the serious part.
Okay.
So, may you please share your educational background of who you are and what inspired you to journey into this specific career of fine art?
So I came by the fine arts around the bend.
Doesn't it happen always? Yeah, of course.
My undergrad is actually in industrial technology. I attended Texas Southern University right here in Houston, and I had an emphasis in manufacturing, and I thought that's what I would be doing for the rest of my career, but I wasn't very happy, and I did some reflections and some reflections, and I decided that the thing that would make me really happy was to be on stage. So with that, I entered a conservatory training program in New York, which I love. I mean, it's amazing. It's rigorous. It's body, soul, in your voice, and your mind. It's all of it.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes, it is. It was amazing. It was hard, but it was very well worth it. And I was able to do acting. But what I found out as an actor, I found out more about who Cynthia is. And therefore, in acting, we have to embody characters.
Yes.
And I believe in being fully committed to whatever role I'm given. But as a married woman, I wasn't comfortable, lip locking with people on stage. But when as an actress, I commit to that. But as a person and as a wife, I'm thinking about my husband.
No, of course.
I mean, not in the moment, but I'm thinking about the art, and I'm saying, wait a minute, I think I have some boundaries here. So what can I do? So as a matter of course, I began to write.
Okay.
And that's how I found playwriting. I thought, what are some plays that I would like to be in? And what are some plays that I wouldn't mind, some of these great actors in New York being a part of? And I started to write, and was thinking I was going to produce something. It didn't materialize in New York, but eventually when I made my transition back to Houston, that's when the idea of Exalted Arts Theater came about. And so now it's like I'm writing, I'm performing for the organization, and that's pretty much how I got here. But it started out just, I'm an actor at heart. I'll always be an actor. As a playwright, I write with an actor's sensibility, if you want to put it that way.
Right.
And I love it. And so anyway, I think it's important for every actor, everybody's track is different, but I think it's important for every actor to decide what they're willing to do, because it's all a sacrifice.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I didn't want to sacrifice,
your soul,
my
your
core.
Yeah, your core. There you go. Yes.
And the values that I espouse and that I stand for. So that's really what got me into writing. And I'm going to write more plays that I think people who appreciate what I can bring to the table, that maybe have some of those same, I guess, hiccups about the work that they're doing.
No,
they can have a place here at Exalted Arts.
I can tell you, I was doing pre-med before transitioning into fine arts. So I even got my associates in kinesiology.
Okay.
I wish to become a physical therapist, and I do still feel like in the back of my head, I want to go and pursue that.
Yeah.
However, just the arts for sure. It's a fun place. It's really, it's playtime. It really is. Like it's recess, and if you can get a little something out of that, so it not only nourishes your soul, but you can also nourish other people's souls.
Yes. I love that.
Yes. So it's, oh man, it's a feast for everyone, to be honest. I mean, it's just, we all get together, we sit down, we enjoy our meal, have a good time, and so I definitely understand that.
I love that.
Moving on, what does a day in the office, quotation marks, office look like for you? Like, what does a typical workday look like for you?
So a typical workday, so let me tell you, Google Calendar is my friend.
Okay, Google Calendar. Yeah, no, tips and tricks here.
Yes, because it keeps me organized, because as a founder and executive director and artistic director, it's all about time management.
Right.
So a typical day, I'm going to check my calendar first to see what's going on. I'm going to answer important emails, but as the founder and as the leader, I'm responsible for trying to get funding, right? So
Right.
it's a lot of grant research,
Mhm.
it's a lot of sponsorship research,
Right.
grant writing, grant developing. We're developing the program. We have one program for Exalted Arts. It's called the Inspired Performance and Enrichment Workshop for Children. It's for middle schoolers, but
wow.
I'm responsible for getting that program funded. So
Can you
we
repeat
can
that one more time, please?
Oh, yes, it's the I have a little brochure. It's called the Inspired Performance and Enrichment Workshop for Youth.
Wonderful. We'll have that right here in the ATA lounge. If you can't stop by and visit, we'll see if we can post it up through campus groups and through all other resources for our future fine arts majors.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. But it inspires middle schoolers who
Yes.
are interested in the arts. Maybe the shy ones who don't know they have some sort of talent.
And
that's-
specifically enough, I plan to become an art teacher myself with this degree, so I can bring that because I also specifically want to teach middle schoolers. So what do you know? You see, it's fate. It's fate. Oh man.
I love
Yes.
it. Yes, and so
Yeah, Google Calendars.
yes, with also, yes, and so program management, that I manage this program,
Mhm.
and that's what a typical day looks like. Now, sometimes it's like a Tuesday or a Thursday, if I've made an arrangement with one of the school districts, I
Mhm.
typically work out of the Aldine Independent School District. I've worked with the Shotwell Middle School. And what we've done is we brought this program in and I kind of coordinate the days, like a Tuesday and a Thursday around with whatever they're doing, because they have testing and things
Right.
that, and I get moved around sometimes. But when I go into the schools, I have the pleasure of implementing the program, executing it, and making some positive impacts into the lives of the students. And they are the reason that I think I get invited back, because they go, Miss Garcia, are you coming back next semester? And I look at the teacher and I say, ask her.
Ashley, is Cynthia coming back next semester?
Yes, she can.
Wonderful. Do we have any questions from our online audience at the moment?
No questions right now. However, the convo is still early. So if any audience has questions, please drop them in the chat, provide commentary. We have a Shotwell Shark alumni in the house as well. So, that's the type of energy and love we appreciate. So if something resonates with you, or you want some more information on something, please drop it in the chat and we will get to it during the conversation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ashley. Here for our online audience, do we have any questions that we'd like to ask at this moment?
Sure.
Awesome.
Do you have experience? Is there the majority of your experience in theater or film? Acting?
Yeah, it's mostly theater. It's mostly theater. I've done film work and it is quite a different beast. You really have to perform for the camera and you have to have an energy, depending on how tight the shot is. You're thinking about your performance in a very different way in order for it to really land on the other side of that lens. Whereas with theater, you have that, live experience.
That
It's interactive.
air.
Yes, you can be doing your monologue where you're talking to someone and they're not there. So you just have to pull from your technique and your skill to make that person be there so that your performance comes off as authentic. It's the best actors, the best film actors, they make it look so easy, but it really is a skill, is a talent and a craft all meshed together. And a person coming from the theater, it can be quite a bit of a challenge to make the switch. Yeah, it's a different way of using your brain because you have to be aware of where the camera is. You have to be aware of your eye line. The camera is so specific that even if someone's moving about, if your focus is not there, the camera will catch that little flicker in your eye that, you were distracted for just a moment. The camera catches everything. It's not like that in theater, so yeah.
So it's a different beast for
Yeah,
sure.
it
Yes.
is.
Oh man, speaking of, I actually have a couple of my own questions because you did mention about that. So I believe that that may be related more towards like the techie side, if you will. So what experience do you have with actors and or techies?
Well, as an actress, my experience with actors is, especially if we're in a scene together, I
Mhm.
love to try to get an understanding of where they're bringing their character from, so I can understand our relationship better.
Okay,
So I do a lot of my homework. I do all of the things. Who am I? What are the given circumstances? How old am I? What is my history?
right, right.
Depending on what the theme of the play is about, I'm going to use plays as an example.
Mhm.
How does my character advance the story of the play?
Mm,
What is the message that the director is trying to get across? And how does my character inform that vision?
okay.
So that I do a lot of that work first. I sit with that because when I'm on stage, I don't want to be acting. I just want to be.
You are that.
I just want to
Yes.
be. And so that is my experience working with actors. My experience working with techies, during tech week. Where you're putting in the lights and the sound
Right,
you
right.
have on your costume.
Make sure you have the right gel.
So then, and then you're testing all the limits, oh, well, maybe you were standing, during the rehearsal, you were in this general area, but by the time they set the lights, you have to move over just a little bit
Mhm.
and things like that. And the way that you communicate is, am I in my light? You should be able to tell when you're in your light, but you can always ask, am I in my light? How is this? So you know how to hit those marks and things
Right,
like that.
right.
And the same thing with all the technical people working backstage, because sometimes you have quick changes.
Oh, of course. I mean,
So-
2 seconds. You go around, I understand. Yeah, no, the costumes with the lining. And there's exactly, especially those. You go there and then run back out. Like,
Yes,
it's very laborious for sure.
It
I mean,
is.
and it's an actor's responsibility to make it look as flawless as possible.
there you
Yes,
have it.
absolutely.
Yes, so communication and good rapport with the people who are helping you dress, because they're seeing parts of you, that people don't see.
No, of course, no, it's, I believe you have a more intimate relationship with them than with most people.
It's true. It's very
Yes.
true. So a high level of trust is absolutely necessary when you're
Right.
dealing with costuming people for quick changes and things like that. But yes, and then the sound person has to mic you. So my experience with the sound person, they're hooking you up and making sure, everything is placed properly, because they don't want your mic coming off
Mhm.
during the performance and things like that. So those are basically my relationships, I guess, with all of these people. In short, is just professional. And then when we have breaks, we're able to get to know each other a
Right,
little bit
right.
better. So it becomes a little bit more personal. And then you're able to maybe get a little friend or two by the end of the show.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the world is just ready for you to go out there and just make friends,
Yes.
family, connections, of course, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. All right, so again, going back to business.
Yes, yeah, no problem.
What are some skills juniors and seniors in college can develop right now as they are preparing for a career in fine arts?
I would say developing one's soft skills is very important. And what do
Ooh.
I mean about soft skills?
Yes, please elaborate.
I am talking about empathy, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, having an awareness about yourself, your emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
These are like hot button topics right now. I just, as you mentioned, completed my master's in arts leadership at University of Houston. And one of the things that we really focused on were these soft skills, your emotional intelligence, being aware of not only your own emotions, how to gauge and moderate your own emotions, but about other people who are in the room, who are in the space with you.
Okay.
These are the important things that are transferable, whether it's fine arts or some other type
No,
of
right,
industry.
right, of course.
I would say communication, not only being able to speak clearly and I would say with grace, because sometimes you do have to communicate hard truths, but
Yes,
there's
no,
a
it can
way
be
to
difficult,
communicate
but there is
that.
a graceful way of going about it. I
Yes.
understand, with poise.
Yes, and let me tell you why I mentioned it this way. When I was doing theater in New York, I heard some horrible things, especially during Tech Week. The way that
Oh,
people
boy.
communicate, it can be very nerve-wracking, and that's what I was sort of baptized into. And not that it,
Baptism by fire.
yes. Now I wasn't comfortable with it, and I didn't agree with it, but I accepted it as something that this is what happens in theater during Tech Week.
Growing pains.
Yes. I've since changed my mind on that. I brought that New York attitude, if you will, I was attending a church and I was the person helping with their dramatic programming, and I was doing the same thing. Now, I didn't use the foul language, but I was being very, I was
Stern,
like that.
right.
And one of the one of the church ladies said, so in church, they may say sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so, things like that. One of the church ladies said, I didn't know Sister Cynthia could talk like that. And I heard that and I thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What did I say? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And what it was is I had adopted that way of communicating from New York. And that by overhearing her say that to someone, I thought, I can't do that. There is a way to communicate with grace
Mhm.
and to inspire people to go in the direction you need them to go. If you're the producer and you're the director, you don't have to be like this New York, hard nose,
Right.
doing work that way. Because honestly, when they do that, what I was feeling, it put me at a 10. So now I'm on edge trying to make sure, oh, I better give it, because I don't want to
Right,
be yelled
right.
at. And so that's why I say communication. Communication is a big thing. And at Exalted Arts Theater Company, we're about the business. That's for sure. We take ourselves seriously in trying to get this work out, but we are going to communicate with grace. So communication is a big one. And let's see, I did communication, I did let's talk about self-awareness.
Okay, yes, please.
Yeah,
Yes, no, I understand. It's
because-
another hot topic too.
Yeah,
Yes.
some people are not aware of what it is they bring to a room, and sometimes they're not aware of what's going on in the room. Now, one thing I will never forget from one of my acting classes in New York, there was an instructor, and he said, someone yawned in the class while he was lecturing. He said, don't ever yawn in my class again.
Oh, no.
Don't ever yawn in my class again. And the question was, how do I not yawn? He said, do it in your head. So
Oh, no.
do it in your head. He said, when you go, because really they're trying to train up people who will potentially perform on Broadway.
Right.
When you get before the Broadway directors, he's saying, consider me as a Broadway person who is capable of firing you just as I was capable of hiring you.
Mhm.
So do not yawn in my presence. So we all started to practice, like if a yawn came, you could yawn, look, watch. Just breathe it in and breathe it out. And the person never knew it. And they would never know that. And it's little things like that. It's little
Okay.
things like
Y'all
that.
saw that, people?
Because you're not aware. The lecturer is lecturing on some important topic. And
Right.
you're like, it's like, am I boring? Am I really? And maybe they're not boring them. Maybe they're really sincerely tired. But what
Right.
you're communicating is that there's a
Yeah,
lack of
there,
interest.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. No, you already set that barrier there, and that's something that we wish to not have. because
Yes.
No, I understand for
So
sure.
those are some soft skills. But as far as some practical skills, I would say, I know fine arts is very broad because, we have the performing side and then we have the administrative side.
Right.
And I would just say those skills are always being able to connect with someone, that interpersonal connection, having a good rapport, whatever may be going on, whether it's trying to produce a play or we're trying to raise money, all of it, it has a bearing on one's understanding of the main goal. So get a clue about what it is so that you're on the same page, so that you're able to communicate it, not only when you're in the space with the people that you're doing this great work with,
Mhm.
but when you're outside representing the work in the community. So I think that is a practical thing to have, just because of the gamut of what you're able to do in the scope of theater. But I think the soft skills are the most important things, because those are the things that are going to take you a long way. People remember how they felt and your presence and things like that. Those are the soft skills. It wasn't necessarily me sitting down and composing, the most, I don't know, beautiful email, but being able to do that is key too, because sometimes people use their texting language for an
Right.
email.
No, of
And you don't
course.
want to do that. You want to make sure, when you're communicating and representing yourself, that you are speaking in a certain way.
Absolutely, yes. And this doesn't only just apply for the fine arts realm, but for any realm in itself, for
Yes.
any field, whether that be political science, whether that be even the public sector, again, as well, for like teaching. Absolutely, no, yes, 100% agree on that. So there you go, upperclassmen, and even lowerclassmen too. If you are watching right now, these are skills that we can definitely start developing on our time. Okay, so describe 3 things that have been most important to you in choosing this career.
Let's see. So I'm all about, everybody, I'm sure, asks the question, why are we here? I'm
Right.
sorry, I don't mean to get so deep, but I am sort of philosophical in that way.
Mhm.
I do think about these things. They are important to me. And it's about who am I and why am I here? And I really do believe that I'm here to spread joy through the arts. So with
Yes.
that in mind, when I think about 3 things about why I do it, I think I have an innate ability. And I didn't know there was such a thing as training, to be honest, if I can be so blunt about it. I didn't know, I don't know why I didn't know about acting schools and things like that. I don't think it was something that was taken very seriously in my home. So I wouldn't know about it. Like I said, my undergrad is in industrial
No,
technology.
I'm telling you, no, I get it. No, for sure. I feel like, again, a lot of fine arts majors start off with one thing and then we find our way here. I mean, but we found our way. That's the good thing, which is,
Yes.
I mean, it's something that unfortunately not many others can have that self-realization, if you will. I
Yeah.
mean, they're already so down the road that, I mean, it's just they take a look back, but it's never too late. It's never too late. You can always go and follow your dreams. Definitely follow your dreams.
Oh, yes, ditto to that, because this is a true story. In my school, it was AMDA, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. Even though I was in the studio program, which is the theater and film program, it's not the musical theater program that I was in, but nevertheless, I was one of the 2 oldest students in the school. I was 26.
Wow.
They don't really take older students over 21.
Oh,
But
boy.
but I said to them during my interview, I said, I think I have a natural gift. I just don't know how to use it. It is apparent to me. I had gone on some auditions
Mhm.
and I had observed that the actors, the real actors, they were doing things that I couldn't discern what is it that they're doing.
Mhm.
And so I would try to, what I think, what I thought they were trying to do or were doing, I was not successful. So I told the AMDA interviewers that I feel that I have something natural, but I believe there's a technique that is required that I would like to access. And so and then I got accepted. So I would say one of the values is, I think I'm supposed to be doing it. I think, or something in the creative field or sphere. That's what I think. Another thing is a value of wanting to have a pride about what I do, to care for it, not to have a pompous pride, but to have such a regard or a care for it that I think that's a bit of passion.
Yes.
So the passion piece of it, so we have the creative part or the innate part of it, the passion piece, and then I would say the productive piece, like when you go home, where did you accomplish your goal? Was there joy or even challenge in it? And are you still able to go back the next day and do it again,
Mhm.
despite whatever, obstacles came up?
Right.
So I would say those 3 things.
Awesome.
Mhm.
No, and going back to that about it's never too late. That's what's so incredible about the Accelerated Transfer Academy. It is catered towards the non-traditional student.
Yeah.
As like us, I mean, we are, and our demographic is a lot older than your traditional student. And yeah, no, it's just, a little self brag right there. So for those of us that are watching, if there are any people that can grant this program right here, no, it definitely helps a lot of people. And it helps, again, go and follow your dreams, no matter how late it is. Yes.
I love that.
How do you navigate work and life balance, especially with fine arts? Because again, it is a passion. It is your core. I mean, that you're using that right there. It can be challenging, at least on my end, to sort of keep that boundary between the personal and the professional. I understand that once you enter that door, you gotta leave the personal out there and just focus right here on the professional. Yet, I mean, as an artist, it's you're using your core, you're using that personal for your craft. I mean, how do we balance that? How do you balance that?
So I totally understand this question, and it is a rich question. Let's dig into it.
Yeah.
For me personally, first, I have my priorities. My priorities are God and family. And when I say family, I'm talking about my friends, everyone who's connected to me, and then my work. So with that in mind, before I even take a project, I'm gonna talk to God about it. I'm gonna talk to my husband about it, because we all know what it requires, and we all know what's going on at home.
Mhm.
It's gonna require long rehearsal hours. Are we okay with that? That it was gonna require me coming home in
Right.
crazy hours. Are we okay with that? Is this a good time? Okay, and then I'm gonna go for the gusto. That's if I'm doing acting. But also when I'm doing writing, I want to be a good steward of the craft of writing. So
Mhm.
sometimes that means I may have to go away for some weekends.
Yes.
So that I can get a space where I can see what is going on this piece of paper. I'm not going to be present. But I think the way I do it is knowing what my priorities are, then I'm able to do things without feeling any type of stress, even though, because you're right, when you go in the room, they are looking for the character. They are not looking for your personal, whatever you got
Right.
going on inside that door. And I can show up well because things have been communicated well at home.
Mhm.
And then after all of that, because I find especially with film, you asked about film, the energy that it takes for film, it takes me a full, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 days to recover. I don't know why.
Wow.
It's not like theater, but it takes me a while to regroup and recover. Do you remember what is the actor? He was just in Black Panther. He
Yes.
plays a villain, not Chadwick,
Oh,
Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
Michael B. Jordan had to go, his character, he had embodied his character so deeply that after that film was over, he had to go away for like, I think 30 days. He went into like a decompressing time with a
Mhm.
therapist or something like that.
Okay.
And it's just the energy for film. It is because there's a lot of waiting for one thing. You're on the set, your job is to be there on that set, regardless of, it's your time or not to go up. But when it's your time to go up, you got to be ready. And when you're there, you don't know how many takes you're going to do. They have
Right.
to set the different camera angles. They have to get the close-ups, the mid-shots, whatever they're going to do. And it's a lot of repetitive work. And it just takes a certain
takes a
amount of
toll,
energy.
yes, no,
Yeah.
yes.
So when I come after doing the film, it's just like I have to make sure I get my rest.
Mhm.
Because if I don't get my rest, I really cannot function well for
No,
myself
absolutely.
or for my family.
Yeah, no, you can't show up for yourself. You can't
Yeah.
show up for others.
No. So that's kind of, I don't know if that helps anyone, but that's just kind of how I manage it, because, and especially with me, I am getting older now, so I have to really be a little bit more scrutinizing about whatever projects I'm gonna take.
Right.
Mhm.
No, and then going back to that communication as well,
Mhm.
that speaking to your family, speaking to your
Mhm.
friends,
Yes,
it's not personal. No, whenever you need time for yourself, just simply communicate. Listen, I mean, I need to give myself this weekend.
yeah,
I need to save space. I need to decompress.
Yes.
It's nothing against y'all.
you're right.
Y'all haven't done anything. It's just I need to reevaluate. I need to
Yes.
find myself again, because
Yes.
again, you put yourself out there. You're creating this craft, and just like recenter. There
Yeah,
you go. Yeah, find
I
your
love that.
grounding.
Yeah, that's
your
all
grounding.
of that, yes.
Yes. Do we have any questions online? Ashley?
Hey, we do not have any online questions, but the dialogue is fantastic. And
I really appreciate that.
it is
Thank
a
you
treat to
so
see,
much.
it is a treat to see two creatives just come together and talk and geek out and just let all the energy be poured into things that they are passionate about. And I hope all of our attendees today are enriched by the conversation from Ms. Cynthia and Adrielle, who is a peer mentor. So if you want to be creative and curate and talk about the creative arts with someone who is in the program. Audrey L is that person to go to, along with the other peer mentors. So I did want to add that, but other than that, we do not have questions. If anyone does have a question, please feel free to drop it in the chat, and we will get to it.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Really, really
Thank you.
appreciate that.
You're
Any
welcome.
questions from our in-person audience? Not at the moment? All right, getting back to it. In your experience, what are some challenges you may have experienced or witnessed yourself in the career field as far as when COVID-19 really took an impact on the field?
So I happen to know about this from different angles. So as a founder of a small arts organization, right?
Right.
Funding was impacted
Oh.
because here's the thing, we operate out of Match, you know, the Match edifice where, are you familiar with it?
For our audience here who may not be familiar with it.
Yes, it houses a multitude of arts organizations. There are dance companies in there, theater companies like myself are in there. And it's a wonderful thing that we have here in Houston. So small arts organizations can get their productions up within a great budget. They budget with you very well. So that's great. Now, here's the thing, during the time of COVID, they were closed. And so if you don't have your own space, then you're not in control of when the doors are going to open again.
Right. Yeah. No,
So
it's like a heavy hit. for
yes,
sure.
we didn't have a show. And I think our last show actually was 2020. We did it online, but nothing in 2021. And we're actually still trying to recover, to be honest with you. Also, donations were impacted because what are you doing when everyone is on lockdown, and where would the monies be going? But essentially, monies are still needed because you have to keep the lights on. Even at Match, we have a space there that's our business office, and there's cost to it, but we were impacted in that way as well. And also, we weren't able to work with our actors that we love to work with. We wanted to commission a work. There's a wonderful playwright by the name of Eric Jones. He wrote this great musical. We wanted to produce his show for Christmas, and we weren't able to do it. And so in an effort to scale back, but still produce a show, we ended up doing a one-person show. So we were adversely impacted, but we have not given up. And we're the little engine that
The little
could.
engine that could, yeah, absolutely, yes. And as we've mentioned before, we're definitely not in it for the money.
No.
We are in it for the passion, because it
Yes.
is something that it feeds our soul. And again, going back to that feast,
Yes,
we're sharing this
I
meal
love
with
that
others.
metaphor.
Absolutely, yes. Organizations like Match. So here we go. Actually, pretty much segues into the next question.
Mhm.
Organizations to learn more about, for example, like Match. Are there any other clubs or organizations maybe around here in the city or even nationwide that one can get involved to start really delving themselves into this line of work?
So I would say there are a couple of things. I don't know if anyone is interested in theatrical acting. And the reason I'm differentiating that is because they have their own union, Actors Equity. Now, the way I attained my equity card, it was through doing a tour, and I was able to sign an equity contract. Now, they have another way that I understand is through points. So like if you work at an equity theater, say the Alley is an equity theater, 80 Players at the George, that's also an equity theater. The Ensemble Theater is not necessarily an equity theater, but they do have a few equity contracts that they give out, periodically, but you're able to sort of gain some sort of points. I don't know much about it, but Actors Equity is something you should look into if you want to go into a professional organization. There's also the Dramatists Guild, now kind of switching from acting or stage acting to playwriting. They do have a student membership where if you are writing plays, or even right now while you're in school, you can become a student member of the Dramatists Guild. They do have the Dramatists Guild of America. So they have a local chapter here, but I believe their corporate offices are in New York, I believe.
Okay.
And then of course you have SAG, Screen Actors Guild.
Of course.
For all the people who want to go into film and television. But also I want to encourage, if people are writers,
Mhm.
you have small writers groups here in Houston. Now, I don't have any names per se, but a lot of them sort of emerge out of university settings.
Right.
So you may even have a writers guild here, where you can safely share your work and get feedback about what it is that the people in the space are hearing, and then get questions answered. You were writing something, but you're not sure how it's landing. You can get some of those questions answered, and those are through just small art, just a group of your peers.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a small get together. It doesn't have to necessarily be so big and so out
Yeah.
there. I mean, we all start small.
Yes.
And from there, and generally the most genuine and precious gems that can come out of that. Yes, no, I mean, you can find it right there. It's just, it's
I agree.
small, it's local, and it's so raw and authentic.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, it's just like right there. That's where
Yes.
you really find that diamond in the rough for sure. Yes,
I agree.
absolutely. Any questions from our online audience or in person? Ashley?
Yes, so not at the moment, just many resources being provided. So
Yes.
for our online attendees, copy and paste, hold on to them. For our in-person audience, we will be sharing this information with you soon via newsletter, via peer mentors. But other than that, that's it. No questions.
And again, this is being recorded, so in case there is something that we may have missed, you can always come back and review this. It is also available for you because there is a survey that needs to be filled out for our mentees that are attending. So at the end of the CLC, there will be a survey that you may fill out, and anything that you like to review, you can access this video through campus groups. Yes. So we sort of already covered this, but again, it's nice to sort of review, if you will. How do you decompress and take self-care? I mean, how do you take care of your mental health after going through writing or production? Again, we already talked about having to give time for ourselves, but the process of it, is it like a candlelit bath, or is it like a spa? Yeah, just go about that.
That's exactly what it is. Now, I'm probably one of the few people who never take a shower except for when I'm shampooing my hair. Maybe that's too TMI. But no, I have to get my time. It is sort of a spa bath every day, every single day, because there is a lot going on in the world.
Right.
And then there's the work that needs to be done and that I love to do. But before I do any of that, I just make sure I'm in a good space. So I do take that time. And another thing that I love to do at the end of the day is I love to talk about the day. I love putting my journal, opening my journal. Sometimes you forget when you just record, how was the day? What were your thoughts? What are you grateful for? What is a challenge that you're working on? What is a question that you have, that you want God to answer, and things like that. And then you put the date, of course, and then you just go on about your day. And then let's say one day you're thinking, I just want to go back and see, I want to reflect a bit. You go back and you're like, oh my goodness, I do remember that. Oh my goodness. And oh, you start to see sort of a journey, just because because you're putting it on paper, and you're sort of, canonizing it in this, like, I would like to say, a sacred space, because it's yours.
Yes.
It's your heart, and your mind. And I love doing that. So I think those two things, to begin the day and to end the day, I think it's just so special to me.
No, and that's wonderful, absolutely, because some of us just go about day to day, and it's just in the blink of an eye. I mean, it passes by, and you don't give a second thought behind it. And once you really start to take note of it, you really start to acknowledge it. You become more self-aware, and it just, I understand it wholeheartedly, for sure. I mean, you don't just go by the motions. You really start to appreciate. You really do start to appreciate every day, because every day that you have is a blessing, for sure. It's a small journey. It's just it's a season, if you will, or like TV show. So each day is an episode, and you can go and write that down. And you want to rewatch certain episode, you go back and flip it right there. I think I want to see episode 23, September 23rd. Let me just go ahead and pull that out. Yes, absolutely. All right. What are 5 things we need to know about the theater? Just for anybody, our general public, what is 5 things that we need to know about it? It's like cool facts, or just the work that's put into it, or what we don't know, like fun fact. 5 things.
Let's see, I would say, one thing we should know is that the performers want to know that you appreciate their work. And you do that with how you do it. You show your appreciation for the work, not to say that maybe the play was your cup of tea, but it's about the work. Did you appreciate the design that was put together and that you were invited to the table to sort of watch? So we just love that, because again, to your point, we're not necessarily doing it for the money.
Right.
And so we just want to know that our art is appreciated.
Yes.
And
yes,
so
yes.
I would say that's one thing. Another thing is there are a number of people who are making a show happen. It doesn't matter the size of the show. Even
Mhm.
for our one woman show, we had a lot of tech people. We had the tech people who were responsible for the camera and sound. We had the tech people who were responsible for distributing it on the stations. You know, we
Right.
had the website, we had the online platform, we had the social media platforms. That you would appreciate knowing that there are a lot of people touching a production, no matter how seemingly small it is.
Right.
You have the costuming people that are working, you have the marketing people who are trying to get the word out about the play, and then you have the people who are doing hostessing, if you will. They're welcoming you to the space, so
Right,
they
they're
want you to be
ushering
comfortable.
in.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
all of
yes.
that. So I don't know if people realize it. I think sometimes if you are not very accustomed to theater world, you may just go to the theater and you just see a production and really give not a lot of thought to all of the hands, all of the moving parts that bring the production together. So that's something else. What else about theater that you should know? Theater is for everyone. I think
Yes.
there is, I hope this misconception is leaving and it's dying, but I think there is a segment of the population who believe that theater is not for them. And what I mean by that is like it's something that other people do. And I'm here to tell you, everyone loves theater and it's for everyone. You can find something pretty much, even for children. If you have a child and you want to introduce your child to theater, there are some great children's theaters right here in Houston, Texas. And for our seasoned people in the audience, there's also theater for you. And I have to say, I'm going to toot the horn of the ensemble theater, because I know my mother, she's 74 years old and she's involved with the community center, and they take them to the theater. So it doesn't matter your age. And then let's talk about if you have any special needs. I know AD Players has actually, for youth who have special needs, they have a theater program for them. I think it's called the Abilities Program.
Okay.
And but they teach them theater. So I just want to say theater is for everyone. It doesn't matter your social status. Let's talk about social
Oh,
economic
yes.
status.
Yes, yes, yes.
Catastrophic theater, they have a program where you pay what you can. So if you have $5 and you want to access theater, then hey, you can go do that at Catastrophic Theater. So I'm just saying that theater is for everyone. So that's, I think, something people should know.
Wonderful. No, yes, absolutely, because I do understand that there are sometimes that there's that small barrier, again, going back to the economic, that one would wish to attend a theater, but there is theater. But yes, there is, it's for everyone, for sure. So don't let the budget hurt when there are other places that you can go, and just, I mean, that resource is there for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
I think another thing that people don't realize is you're able to see shows if you choose to volunteer.
Ooh,
There's
now that's a
always
good,
the thing.
that's a good, yes, yes, yes.
They're always looking for volunteers. They're looking for your smiling face to welcome people in the door and to hand out a program and say, hey, welcome to our theater and thank you so much for coming. Things like that. And you have an opportunity to view a show in that regard.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So again, going back to the volunteer, I understand that some of our viewers do need to complete some volunteer hours.
Oh, wonderful.
So there you go. It's a win-win. You
Yeah.
get to enjoy performance, and at the same time, you complete your volunteer hours as well for your requirements. Wonderful. So just talking a little bit more about your organization.
Yes.
What play from your production most helps us understand the life, essence, or culture of your organization?
Well, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say Mary's song. So this
Okay.
is an original work and it was performed by a lovely young lady, one young actress. Her name is Kamira Bill.
Okay.
And she had to really delve into the mindset of Mary when Mary was visited by an angel to say that she was going to be, conceiving a child. And she carries the show with such a grace and I think a level of authenticity
Mhm.
that really is, you're able to access the emotions of maybe a little bit of fear because, the
No,
angel,
of
if you know the
course,
story, he
yes.
tells her not to be
No,
afraid. So it's a little bit of
absolutely, yes.
fear that she has to overcome, but once she overcomes it, and then once she decides to go forward with the plan, it's a musical.
Okay.
I think it's my favorite show. We did another show called The Great Exchange. Now that one was fun because it was a large cast and it was also a musical and it was a Christmas show. And we had the dancing angels and we had the lollipops. We had like the heavenly scene where they were holding a party because now, the Jesus is getting ready to go to earth. So that was kind of fun. And then we had the villain, King Herod, and he was played by a wonderful actor by the name of Lynn Menzer. And people still ask me about that. They want me to, it's almost like he needs to have his own show, King Herod. So that's a fun show. So I think those two shows are my favorite.
What really embodied that?
Yeah.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, do we have any questions from our online audience or in person? Feel free to ask. I'm sure she doesn't bite here. Yeah, right? I mean, we all have a little bit of madness in us for sure. And I feel like that's what sparks our creativity.
Yes,
for
I
sure.
would say yes.
Yes, we do have a question. Yes.
So when you read, or I'm not gonna say read, would you do that show again, your first marriage, or would you do that again?
I think I would. I think people are interested in seeing, one year we had it, another actress played it, gave it an entirely different feel. Diana Isa, she came and did the show. And let me tell you something that I think is really special about Exalted Arts. But to answer your question, I think sometimes the people that I have the wonderful opportunity to work with, it was like the show was meant for her at that time in her life. And you don't know these things until after the show has ended.
Mhm.
And then the actor may come and say some things and you're like, oh my goodness, all I was doing was trying to cast the
No,
show.
no, it definitely happens. It's like I say, even this conversation right now that we're having and with our audience, it's fate right now,
Yeah.
definitely. Just as far as like, you don't know you needed it until it happens. And
Wow,
yes, it's something that, there you go, like instant inspiration right there for sure. Yes.
I think that's the word, inspiration.
Yes.
So I think what I'm trying to say is, yes, I would love to do it again, but I think what the embodiment of what we do is to inspire people. So what that told me was there was a personal inspiration to her, even though we were trying to inspire people through our art.
Yes.
So yes, I would definitely do it again.
Oh,
Thank you
man.
for that question.
Any questions from our online audience, Ashley?
No,
No?
good.
That's okay. It's all right. I
Yeah.
get it. No, you just enjoy the show, right?
Yes, absolutely. Some of the books, though, I do see some of the books.
That's what I was just about to mention right now. We see we're on the same wavelength,
Yes, we
I
are.
did mention I do see some of the books and I was about to mention, can you please share with us what exactly is going on right here?
Okay, so I was very deliberate about what I brought today. These are just some recommendations. These are books I have read, all of these books except for the auditioning for the musical theater, but the rest of these books I've totally read and I highly recommend. But Audition by Michael Shurtleff, it tells you just from beginning to end what you can expect in the audition process. We all know that in order to secure a job, we have to have an audition, and this is the most
Yes.
nerve-wracking thing for people to try to get through.
No, oh man.
Audition.
Oh yes, I mean just already, man, no, it's those jitters and then like you have to go, like, yes, no, of course.
I had a friend, true story, when I lived in New York, I had a friend, he was up for a role. It was a Broadway show. And Meryl Streep was in this show. I cannot remember all of the other characters. He was called back 9 times. That is 9 auditions. And he still did not get the role. So one thing to keep in mind is it's not a comment on his talent or his ability, because obviously he was invited to the table.
Yes,
But
9
when,
times.
yes, but when it is a casting opportunity going on, they have to, he didn't fit in the family with the way the other people who were cast fit into the family.
Mhm.
And so that is the reason he wasn't cast. But he was obviously auditioning well to be called back again and again and again. So audition.
Oh, yes, and that's also another thing as well. It's about the suitability behind it.
Yes.
You could meet everything. You could check, and you
Yes.
can go ahead and dot every single I and cross every T.
Mhm.
Yet when it comes to that meshing, I understand, no, for sure. It's about that suitability. If you see that, if there's that chemistry that you need right there. Yes, no, I
yes.
understand. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're actually answering one of the other questions
Oh.
right here on plate. There we go. Again, following that same wavelength. Any resources, any books that we can recommend? So yeah, no, that's why Ashley and I, we were asking about these books that you brought in here. So there you go, taking the extra step. What other books do you have for us?
I'm gonna kind of move through them.
Yes.
But this is the monologue audition. Now, this is great for when you're going into the theater, because usually when you are doing a film audition, you get sides. But in the theater, you need to perform a monologue. And how can you make it really real for the auditors when you're in the room? And also, I want to just say, I do coaching on the side. I'm not trying to make a plug, but this is
It's okay.
important. This is important to me, because when you go into that auditing room, we need to see your personality and things like that. You say hello, that's all well and fine, and that's professional. But when you get ready to deliver your monologue, we don't want to be in your monologue as the auditor. So that means you don't need to look at us. If you want to set your mark, over above our heads, to the left or to the right, that's fine. We get to watch a performance. But when you are delivering the monologue to us, now we feel like we have to perform, and we have to, and we're in it, and we're trying to be outside of it so we can make an assessment, if that's fair.
That's good
So
notes. Good notes.
the
Yes.
monologue audition is another book. Now this is the one I haven't read, but I was so intrigued by this that I picked it up. You see, I got it at half price for $5.99. I haven't
Again,
had
the
time
money.
to read it.
I feel it. No, yes, I understand. Yes.
Because remember I said I was in the theater and film program and not musical theater, even though I got a musical theater job. It was, the people were directing me all over the stage because it was just a different animal. It was so fun. I thought, I need to learn about musical theater for real. So that's this one.
What's your favorite musical? Just really quickly. What's your favorite?
Rent. Oh
Rent,
my gosh.
okay.
I saw Rent on Broadway. Okay.
Ooh, so like in person.
I saw it when it came back. Let's see, how old? Well, let's not talk about the age, but it was fairly new. When I was
19, none of your business.
Yeah. I love that. I was in New York, and I think the reason I liked it is because it was just electrifying. I saw artists at work. I mean, they were belting out that song, those
Wow.
songs, and that seasons of life. That was so, oh my goodness. It
Goosebumps
just,
right now,
yeah,
yes.
it just stirs
I'm not
you up.
even there, but the
Yeah.
way you're describing
It was
oh, man.
wonderful. I love that. And I also saw Heather Headley in Aida, that Elton John wrote that. And I loved that one too. So I think maybe out of those two, I really love them because they're just, the consummate artists, these people who are involved in those shows, and they did a fantastic job. Love
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Briefly, before we move on, actually, one more question from this. How do you believe the workings behind a production would change from here to 10, 15 years? Like, what do you see? Like, what do you believe there may be a difference? Because I understand that, again, moving forward through this pandemic, because unfortunately we are still in a pandemic. We're out of quarantine, but we're still in a pandemic. And then technology is ever advancing.
Yes.
How do you see the theater from here in 10, 15 years?
I think it's more of an immersive experience, back in the day. So now I'm going back in theater history.
Ooh,
Okay, let's go a little bit to theater history.
take notes, everyone.
Just a little bit. When they would get out in the community, say, for example, they had during the medieval period, they
Mhm.
had their wagons and they're out in the community and they're doing things like that. I think some mixture of being more out in the community, but in the contained space where they're able to use some level of technology
Yes.
in the way of, I don't know if you've seen any Shin Yun shows.
Not personally, no. I mean, I've seen the promotionals and I mean, it's on my to-do list for sure. It's on my checklist to go and
Okay.
check them out. Yes.
You would be so impressed by their technology,
Mhm.
what they have going on now. So I think an immersive experience in communities with some level of technology. I don't know who's going to build the apparatus where it's able to be something that can, kind of, what would you say, fold over itself,
Okay.
something that can be compact, sort of like when I was doing, I did a children's tour. We carried our set in the back and it didn't take long.
Okay.
It was like we popped up the set.
Compact.
Yeah, really compact, something like that, but it has some technical elements because back in the day when theater was just burgeoning and being formed, like with, let's say, Greek theater,
Mhm.
they would have something where they could fly people in. I think there is a way to get theater back out into the world that way, but to add these technological advances that are safe. So you're going to have a crew,
Mhm.
and as long as you have a good crew, a good planner, a scheduler, and the weather is nice.
The Google Calendar.
Yeah.
The Google Calendar.
I think that is a great way to get people out of doors,
Mhm.
because I think being locked up in the pandemic as we were, people want to be outside.
Yes.
And
especially for us who thrive.
Yes.
With people. Yes, no. It was maddening for sure
Yes.
being by myself. Now, granted, I do love myself and I enjoy my own company
Yes.
for sure. Yeah, it's something else about just that interaction, getting to meet people, be with people again,
yes.
going back to that piece. Just
Yes. And the reason that I'm saying that is because I think people are wanting to get out of doors. Of course, we're always going to have our buildings in our traditional theater spaces,
Mhm.
but I think the innovation is going to come in just doing theater wherever.
Wow.
And if you're able to have some level of technology, I don't know what it is, I don't know what the show's about, but I think there's a way to do that. And that's where I think theater will be going.
So pop up the ears right
something like that.
Okay.
Because we've not seen that. And I think people probably are trying to figure out how to do it, but I think we sort of have a clue based
Mhm.
on something like Express Theater. I worked with them when I was a very young actor. Express Children's Theater here in Houston. We would go around to the different schools and basically we packed everything up in a van and then we would go and we would perform the show, wherever they told us.
Right.
I think it's the same idea, but I think the setup would be just a little bit,
More
just
polished.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Before we move on to the rest of the books, do we have any questions in person or for our online audience? Yes.
Would you actually consider that a potential future business idea of like pop-up theater with like, whether it be streaming on Twitch or, the streaming service?
Ooh.
Yes.
Like, and you.
I absolutely would. I absolutely would because we're already streaming, right?
Yes, right now.
Everything is streaming. And guess what? Well, I don't have my phone accessible to me. You don't have to be at home on your computer to do it, right? To stream the whatever it is that you're trying to consume. So yes, absolutely I would.
I would like 5% out of this right here. Just like, we got that recording right there. So that's my contract. That's my contract because
I
we are
love it.
inspiring this right here.
Yes,
for sure.
5%.
Yes.
No, I'm generous, 5. No, I absolutely would. I was just, even with casting, a lot
Yes.
of the things that they're doing now is a lot of self-taping and things like that.
Right.
It's not the same thing as you going into the office and auditioning. They want you to be creative and put yourself on tape and then send it in. And again, it goes to a platform where they're able to access video. Yeah, absolutely.
They might have actually a whole entire theater just do it like in front of the screen.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's where I see it going. And the wonderful thing is you know, I have the flexibility to do it because I don't have a space. And that's why I think that way, you see?
No, yes, it really, there's a different wiring. So sometimes, yeah, no, for sure, necessities spark the creativity. It's just,
Yes.
okay, if I don't have this, what can I do to
Yes.
supplement this?
Yes.
That's where innovation comes in. That's where the creativity comes in. It's just,
Yeah.
it's going back to inspiration.
Yes.
Definitely going
yes.
back to inspiration. Ashley, any questions online?
No online questions, but I too do want to see Shin Yun. Yeah.
No, yes, of course.
Obviously.
Ashley wishes to see Shen Yun as well.
Oh, yes.
No, yes, it's just, again, the promos behind it. I mean, it looks spectacular.
Yeah,
Yes,
the technology. I don't know if they changed the shows. I'm sure they changed the shows.
yearly, yes.
But the show that I saw, there was an actor who is getting ready to fly. So the actor does the action of, you know, the knee, you're preparing yourself so you can fly. So he does the bounce, he does something, he disappears, and on the him flying. That animation piece. Really, you wouldn't know that
man.
from the promos because that's not what they show. in the
No, of
promos.
course, they're not gonna give everything.
That's a nice
You-
little surprise.
Yeah, no, a little morsel for you to go in there. No,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. Of
So
course.
yeah, I see stuff like that.
Going back to the rest of the books, yes.
A practical handbook for the actor. It says it's a simple and essential book about the craft of acting. And
Mhm.
that's just the mindset of acting, and even the breakdown of scripts, it has some examples in here. So it's a practical thing on how do you do the work before you actually do the work. That's what this one is about.
Okay.
Michael Caine, you've seen him in film. This
Yes.
is really good. And I needed this because when I was at AMDA, I did some student films, and he really talks about the close-up because your energy for a close-up shot is not the same as a full-length shot, and it's not the same as a medium shot. And when you have an understanding of what the shot is about, you know how much you can do. So you don't want to be a talking head sometimes. So you may just put a hand, especially if the camera's like right here, you may just be like, you know, you're giving the camera something. You understand? Or you're giving the camera something. It depends on the shot. So anyway, that's what this one's about, acting in film. This is a book, I got this at CBS years ago.
What do you know? You see, again, resources, be creative, go out there. Yes.
Now, even though it says successful women speak differently, I think this can apply to anyone, but this lady is talking about recognizing the nuances in speech, how you can glean from her research. She is a New York Times best-selling author, but speaking accurately about yourself, because let me tell you, especially in early acting, when you are not getting the jobs, you begin to doubt yourself.
Oh, yes.
There's a lot of
Oh,
negative
yes.
self-talk, and she's saying, don't do that. So there's a certain way, you're successful even if you didn't get that job, but you got to know that. That's what she sort of espouses in this book. But I think this is for everyone, even though it says successful women speak differently, but successful women do speak differently. It's a mindset. And so you're going to sort of, whatever you say out of your mouth, that's what's going to probably manifest in your life. And we don't want to do that negative self-talk over us. So
No, of course, there's stories that we create in our mind. And again, going
Yes.
back to that self-doubt, no, I mean, it's exactly that. There's stories. They're not real.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that it's true. Doesn't
Yes.
mean that that is who you are. You just,
come on.
yeah, you let that go. All right. No, I mean, just go out there, journal that, manifest it. And yeah, no, have that self-confidence because you're in this field for a reason.
Yes.
Again, it's that passion, it's that drive, it's in you. You have it. Go
Yes.
out there. Just
I
really
agree.
light the world ablaze for sure.
Come
Yes.
on, I
Yes.
love it. Yeah. Now this is on leadership. So this is the Harvard, it's HB, I've read several articles out of here.
Mhm.
This is the Harvard Business Review. These are articles on leadership because we are leaders. You know, when we are in the theater, there is a level of responsibility. We see sometimes a bit of celebrity, and we kind of look to celebrities as sort of role models.
Yes.
And with that, we just have to have an understanding of who we are and what our role is on this stage. And so this book on leadership, I think, is powerful because it helps you to know more about how you think in terms of yourself and the people that you're able to influence. And I don't mean just maybe on the stage, but just in your everyday life. You kind of have to know who you are so that you know how to lead well. And that's what this
Yes.
book is about. Oh, this one is fun. Go put your strengths to work. Now, this comes with a test. It gives
Ooh.
you, if you buy this book, it comes with some sort of test and you have to get the code and everything, and it shows you what your strengths and your weaknesses are.
Okay,
And I think it helps you to understand better about what you're able to do in the world. Okay, so
so
that's
I like
why-
to use the word opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, you have your strengths and your opportunities, because it's an opportunity for you to turn that into a strength.
Come on.
Yes.
That I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree, because anything that is quote unquote a weakness can be just like a weak muscle that has atrophied. You can exercise and you can get it bulked up, but it takes what? Work.
Yes.
So yes, and then the art of film acting. Now, this is a guide for actors and for directors. And so I never thought about directing, but I took a directing class, and man, it is a different, they have a different way of seeing the play, the same play that you may see as an actor or as a designer who is responsible for the soundscape or responsible for the lighting design or the costumes. The director, oh my gosh, this is a great book. And then I have,
We can go ahead and put these.
Oh,
instead
yeah, yeah,
like-
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
instead of
yeah.
having all
Yeah.
of it.
now, this was if these weren't in any particular order, but I like the order that it came out to be. This book by Uta Hagen,
Okay.
this is Respect for Acting. And let
Okay.
me tell you, this was required reading when I was in school.
Oh, boy.
And I think it's important because I don't think I understood what I was getting into.
Mhm.
For the first 2 weeks, we didn't do any acting. We were doing, I didn't understand that they were trying to get our minds to a certain understanding, our bodies, vocal production,
Mhm.
breathing, the diaphragm. And I even wondered if I had made a mistake. And because I'm like, this is acting school, we're not acting. We're doing a lot of push-ups and jumping jacks, but all these breathing
No, and then you're
exercises.
doing yoga. Yes, no, yeah. Because it is physically, it's
Yes.
exhausting.
Yeah.
But it's not exhausting where it's like it's on your nerves exhausting. It's just
Yeah.
it's exhausting because it's like it's something that you like. It's a craving because it just
Yeah.
it drains you mentally, it drains you physically, emotionally, spiritually. It really does shake your core, going back to that core.
Yes.
But that training right there, I understand it absolutely, and I respect my full respect towards that, because that's what builds you up. You're setting this foundation, you're setting this groundwork, and then that's when you can start building on top of that.
See, and this is so important because I, like maybe a lot of people, we see people doing it and we think we can do it. And I'm not berating or belittling anyone who wants to get on stage and want to do some acting, but I'm just talking about the people who want to take the craft more seriously.
Mhm.
That's why I'm recommending this book, because once you have a healthy respect for the craft, then you're going to do your due diligence and put the time and the work into it.
Mhm.
And then you're not going to think it's just something. I mean, I would never think I could be a neurosurgeon. I would never think that. And I think, I mean, this is obviously not brain surgery or rocket science, but it is a craft. It is a skill.
Absolutely, yes.
It has its history, and I think it's something that's worthy of respect.
And with every field, absolutely, yes. It just every field has its bread and butter. I mean,
Yeah.
it has just this would be the bread and butter. for
Yes,
sure.
yes.
Man, me and food today. Man. Like,
The feast,
the feast,
the
yes.
table with the food, I love it. And last but not least, I brought this. This is my Bible. Now, this
Okay.
is the reason why I had never read the Bible. And I was inspired to read it when some people got up and they were telling, a group of people in the church,
Mhm.
how they had read it. I was so intimidated about it. I read this and I have such a different understanding of the world. I'm not saying I know everything or even anything, but what I can say is I feel so much more grounded on something, and it is because of reading this. Hey, I want to tell you, if you ever aspire to read the Bible, you can do it. I'm a living witness. So that's what I have to say about my books.
Awesome. Continuing with the theme of books, is there a particular journal when, because you did mention that, I mean, at
Yes.
the end of the day, going back to our episodes, right?
Yes.
Is there a particular journal that you would recommend or that you use, or is it just like any notebook?
It's any notebook, but I'll tell you how it started. You know those black and white composition books?
Yes.
Those were my original journals.
Well, you know, you see?
But now when you go to Target or even
Yes.
Walmart, they have the most wonderful phrases on the cover, like in here, great ideas found, or I dream world.
Plans for world domination.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have
yeah.
they have things like that. And so whichever one inspires me, and I love color. So
Okay.
if it has color, because remember those compositions, they were just a little black and white
Right,
ones.
right.
But now if it has like balloons or flowers or something that's sunny with a sunny disposition, because I like, just being lighthearted.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's just that vibrancy. I feel like what actor doesn't have that vibrancy with them? Oh, yes.
So I don't have a particular one I would recommend, but just what grabs me in the moment. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great to hear that. Great to hear that. Ashley, do we have any questions, comments, or concerns from our online audience? In the meantime, do we have any questions, comments, or concerns to in-person audience? We might be having some technical issues here. Testing. Testing, 1, 2. Anywho, no worries. We'll move it along right here.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. We mostly covered everything already, to be
Oh,
honest.
wonderful.
Yeah, no, you see, it was so seamless. It was just moving about it. Oh,
You're a
man.
great moderator.
Oh,
so
no, I
you made it
appreciate it. Thank
Very
you.
easy to do. So thank you. I
No,
appreciate
thank you.
You're welcome.
It's that energy,
Yeah.
we're vibing,
Yeah.
we're vibing out here for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any wisdom or for aspiring performing artists or fine arts major in general? So besides the books, besides the technicality behind it, just because we understand that it's a craft and it demands our respect. It demands our full and undivided attention. Again, going back to the physical, the mental, the spiritual. Aspiring words of wisdom for someone that may have those doubts. Again, those stories that we're creating in our mind. What do you have for those people that may be in doubt?
This is very, very simple. But one thing that really impacted me when I was in elementary school, there was a superintendent who would come and visit the school, and they would line up all of the students. And we had to repeat after the lady, and what she would say, and she was very, she wasn't a smiling type of person. She was very like,
Oh, boy.
But then she would get right in the hallway and she would say, repeat after me. She would say, I can do it. And we would say, I can do it if I just stick to it. If I just stick to it.
There you go.
I can do it. I can do it if I just stick to it. I have never let that leave me. And what I feel in that sentiment is the power of belief.
Yes.
Because you can do it if you stick to it, but you have to believe you can do it.
Right.
And if you believe, and it starts in that mind, if you really believe it, I don't think there's anything that's impossible. I really don't, if you believe. And so I would say that would be my word of wisdom, is to believe in yourself. Because you may not have people cheering you on or affirming you and things like that. You encourage yourself, you believe in yourself, and just remember, you can do it if you just stick to it.
And I'm rooting for you, whoever you are and wherever you are.
Me too.
Yes, we're here rooting for you because we know you can do it. You're
Yes.
here, you're looking at this CLC live, or if it's a recording, you're looking at this recording. There's a reason why you're looking at it, whether it's just a requirement for ATA, but we know that there's something else that is that right there. And it's just, we're here rooting for you. You got this. You got
Yes.
this.
Yes, you do.
Ashley, do we have you back? Testing.
I think we lost.
I think we may have. Well, Cynthia, it was a pleasure having you here.
Likewise.
We hope to have you back next semester. Will you be back next semester?
I would love to. If you want me, I'll come.
Ashley, are we having her back next semester?
We're happy to have her for
Oh, she said-
Oh,
CLC
we still
acting
need to-
classes.
Where
I'm
were
sorry.
you? Where
I
were
did
you?
step away from the office. I had to use the bathroom, my
Oh,
bad.
no worries, no
I didn't
worries.
know.
So,
I couldn't
any
tell.
questions, comments, or concerns from our online audience before we wrap this up?
No questions, but I did drop all of the books in the chat, and I will share those with everyone in the newsletter coming up this Friday as well. So be on the lookout for the book recommendations.
Fantastic, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Because again, yes, even though these may be a bit more specific for the performing arts, for the visual arts, or for the fine arts. Yeah, no, it can definitely be applied to anything and everything related, because it will, one way or another, have some form of communication. It will have some way of production, and it may not be production like theater, but I mean, you are producing some work.
Yes.
And by having these, like having this foundation right here, I mean, it's a really great reference, definitely a really great
Thank
reference.
you.
Any questions, comments, or concerns from our in-person audience?
Well, I have a comment.
Okay, yes.
Having also been video production and some theater and all that whole really fine arts industry,
Mhm.
she's right, like those skills overlap, the soft skills, a lot of the things you learn in all those books, they overlap with basic things in life. And are related to
Absolutely.
Fine arts. So I do encourage. everybody
soft
to
skills,
do that.
yes.
Soft
Oh.
skills, emotional intelligence, doing these kinds of things in your off time, and you're if you're in the car, or do your vocal exercises.
Right.
Like,
Right,
Yes.
yes.
why one thing I told.
Yeah.
Because no one can hear you, so don't be, there's nothing to be afraid about.
That's
Like,
true.
Get from the belly right here.
Yeah.
Yes, bring it out. Yeah, I know. I've had people told me to dial it down a bit. Like, oh, okay, I'll dial it down a bit. Yes. Well, again,
Yes.
Cynthia, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you for
here.
having
Really appreciate it.
I really.
And for those of us who wish to review this CLC, again, this is being recorded and you can access this anytime through campus groups. There will be a survey for you to fill out for meeting the requirements for HEA. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and you have enjoy the rest of your day.